Briana Urbina, welcome to the Young Turks.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, a pleasure to have you here. So, Briana, I'm going to ask you the same question that I'm going to ask Michaela, which is the number one question at hand. Why should progressives back you?
I feel that progressives should back me because I am the only person in this race who's ever really taken progressive actions in their life. I am a community organizer, a former public school teacher who taught special education, and I am a civil rights attorney. And in those experiences, I've had the opportunity to serve my community. I have been committed to this work of social justice, for more than 12 years. And I'll be committed to this work for the rest of my life. But I really want to uplift the stories of the students that I couldn't help, the clients that I couldn't help. And those are the reasons why I decided to get into this race and why I think the progressive community should be looking at my experiences and determining who they're going to support.
So there's a couple of different components here, right? So there's some of the metrics that we'll get into in a second, groups supporting you, volunteers, et cetera. But what I care even more about at this point, and I say that as a proxy for the people that are watching, is what your policy positions are, which I'm going to get to next. But let's start with, how do you plan on defeating Steny Hoyer? Because he is a very powerful Democrat and he does have a ton of money on his side.
Yes, he has money, we have people, we have community, and we're going to be tapped into the communities that are often neglected and ignored in campaigns. Almost 70,000 people have naturalized to become American citizens in this district since Trump took office. That's 70,000 people who've never voted for Steny Hoyer, who've never had the opportunity to participate in a presidential primary. Those are doors we are knocking on. And they're not going to be in the voter file or in the van in the way that traditional candidates look. So they're not going to have that voter history that makes them a sexy new voter to the Democratic Party and the DCCC. Those are the doors I'm knocking on. Last night, I was at my son's back to school night at his school, which is a predominantly immigrant community school. It was standing room only. These people are excited to participate in democracy. They're excited to participate in this community. And I'm going to be engaging those folks and the other folks who have for too long did not feel they had a choice of who they could vote for. Steny Hoyer's been on our ballot for 52 years, if you count his time as a state senator. There's too many people that have been deprived of a meaningful choice, and I'm so excited to be able to offer them that.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the metrics. I don't know which progressive groups have weighed in, if any, so far in this race. So are any of those groups backing you so far?
I do have an endorsement from an organization called Demand Universal Healthcare for All, for All, which I think is a really cute and clever name. And they reached out to us to support us because we are a Medicare for all or nothing campaign. We have been really focused on knocking on doors, talking to voters one-on-one, and not engaging outside groups as powerfully as other candidates do, and that's their choice. There's no slight against anybody who's engaging more people to build a campaign, but we have not been in touch with very many groups. It appears that groups, oftentimes outside groups, are looking to metrics like money to determine viability. And in my early talks with Justice Democrats, one of the people I was working with told me, we look for candidates that should win, not candidates that could win. And so I am a candidate who has the experience, the passion, the drive to win and serve my community. But we haven't gained a lot of the attention of the bigger groups yet because we haven't raised the money or earned the media attention as other groups have.
Yeah, and I want the audience to understand something important, which is, look, the fact that there are two progressives in this race challenging Hoyer in a primary is partly what's causing the groups to hesitate. and so it's not a slight on either one of the candidates. It's just the reality of this particular race, and that's why we're having this conversation. So let's keep going. Briana, is there any other metric you wanted the audience to know in terms of whether it's the number of small dollar donors, the number of volunteers, or anything else that gives us a sense of momentum?
Sure. I think that's, well, getting to talk to you in the TYT Nation is really an honor. And that's showing that we're building momentum, that we've gained your attention and had the opportunity to engage the people who, are the heart of the blue wave, the heart of this movement. I am proud to be one of many who want to see a change and are working for that change. In terms of metrics, I mean, we raised more money in our first quarter as a campaign than any other challenger that Steny Hoyer had ever faced in history in his 38 years in the House. So that is something that I was very, very proud of. We've encountered a lot of obstacles along the way. I work full time as an attorney right now. Last week I logged 68 hours at work. So this campaign is moving slowly and steadily, but I really want to redirect the attention to not, the money or the amount of people working on our campaign and the outside attention. It's the 16-year-old kid who called me, who told me he wanted to be a part of something. It's the sheriff in Charles County who called me to a meeting to ask me to fight for diversionary courts and funding for diversionary courts on the federal level. It's those stories of the people who are reaching out to me as someone that they see is capable of speaking to these issues, of leading on these issues. Those are the reason why I'm running. That's the reason why I'm in this race. So, right. It's hard when you're a campaign that's small, that's not corporate funded, that's working with small dollar donations. Our average donation is $13. Yep. It's very, very challenging to get your message out. We've had media outlets tell us that they wouldn't publish any op-eds I wrote if they were not favorable to Steny Hoyer. And yeah, we actually negotiated an open letter to Steny Hoyer with a publication here in the state of Maryland. And they said, oh, yeah, we'd be happy to publish something on the Green New Deal for you. Just, send it along. I submitted it and they said, this is too critical of Hoyer. Yeah. And I said, you expect me to be writing him a love letter? Like I'm running against him because he's not in favor of the Green New Deal and he has a terrible record on environment.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with how the media works in this country, you might be stunned by the story Briana just told you, but we are familiar with it. No, they often, very, very often work to protect the incumbents and the corporate wings of both Democratic and Republican Party. It's absurd, patently absurd. But Briana, you're on here, so let's move to policy. So, yes. And you wouldn't be on here if you weren't a solid progressive. So,
thank you.
Okay, yeah, and so I have no doubts about that. But tell us, among the different progressive policy positions, which there are plenty of, what are your priorities?
So my priorities have really been informed by the community in the House meetings we've held. The number one thing I hear over and over again, especially amongst Prince George's County residents, this district is huge. It's 1,500 square miles. And someone once cleverly said, if you know the state of Maryland, it goes from the University of Maryland to Steny Hoyer's door. It's a huge district that is completely gerrymandered to keep him in office. The thing that I hear from the bulk of residents in the district is a need for affordable housing. We are a district that is in direct proximity to Washington, D.C., and Washingtonians are being displaced at rates that are faster and faster every year. Public housing projects in Washington, D.C. have been closing. People are losing their vouchers. And what they're doing with their vouchers is coming over to our county. And while I am more than happy to receive new Marylanders every day who want to come here and work and be a part of our community, we cannot sustain this level of growth. We don't have the large scale subsidized housing that we need. So there's a few different ways that I want to approach this. Number one, we need to put a moratorium on the closure of public housing. The reason why various housing authorities say they need to close these units is because the housing is dilapidated. I couldn't agree more. So let's build new public housing so that people can stay in their communities and their communities of origin and continue to live where they want to live. The second thing is during the austerity that happened during the recession, a lot of the home ownership opportunity programs were closed. I bought my house. My wife and I were making less than $70,000 a year when we bought our home. And we bought our home through a grant that HUD provided that we would have never been able to afford a home otherwise as two millennials. I owe more in student loans than this house is worth. And our mortgage is less than the rent I was paying for an apartment. So millennials are the largest group of voters, the largest group of working people, and we need more access to affordable housing, whether it be subsidized for people who need that, and home ownership opportunities, which should be available to people across incomes. The last two issues that are coming up over and over again are climate and healthcare. We are a district that is in proximity to the water, and it is literally sheer luck that we haven't been destroyed by a hurricane. New Jersey has dealt with hurricanes. Florida has dealt with hurricanes. North Carolina has dealt with hurricanes. It is only a matter of time before a hurricane comes in and destroys our bay and destroys our state's economy. And Steny Hoyer's record, and you can look it up, is one of the worst in the state of our 8 representatives on climate, on energy, on nuclear, and was on the verge of not earning several endorsements from major environmental groups because he has not been active on this issue. And people of Maryland deserve better. This community deserves better. Our economy deserves better. And then healthcare. This is a state, I'm right now currently a purchaser on the exchange where we have 2 different options for health insurance, and they're comparatively priced and out of the reach of too many people. We have a, as you know, Cenk, and you talk about all the time, we have a sick care system. We don't have a health care system. And so people talk to me all the time about the decisions they have to make for their children in regards to being able to access healthcare, the decisions they have to make with their own lives, the work they have to miss in order to be able to access care. And so that is something that I'm very passionate about, something I've personally experienced, and something I'm hearing a lot in our House meetings.
All right. I want to give everybody the links for Briana. It's urbinaforus.com. And you see the donation and volunteer links there. And obviously it'll be down below when you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. You can just click on them and get there. Briana, I really want to thank you for coming on the Young Turks and making your case. Really appreciate it. And thank you for running, period, because this is how we make change, when people raise their hand and say, I'm going to do it.
Thank you so much. Can I just add one more thing?
Yes.
Sure. So I really, admire the work that you do, and you have an audience of really informed, really enthused progressives that may never have heard of me before. But part of the reason you may not have heard of me is because I've been talking more about the people I've served than myself. For me, politics is personal. This is something that I really personally care about. This is something I'm really personally affected by. And I don't think I've told that story enough. If you want to engage with me and you click through to our website, contact us, come straight to me. I really need your support. I can't do this alone. So please check out our website. And if you feel moved, make a donation that is meaningful to you. Like I said, $13 is our lowest, is our average contribution. And the only way we're going to do this is if our movement is big. It doesn't have to be high dollar. It costs $3,040 for us to knock on 35,000 doors. And that's our goal for the end of the month, to get that $3,000, to get to that $35,000. So I really appreciate the opportunity just to engage with you, Cenk. And I really, really hope that people can see my passion on these issues and just, inquire about our experiences and what we're trying to do here in Maryland.
All right, wonderful. Briana Urbina, running for Congress in Maryland's 5th District. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.